welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, December 19th, 2016. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. With the annual recurrent expenditure at the J.F. Mitchell Airport now at $750,000, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is concerned that the Backway Air Facility will be unable to sustain itself. Dr. Gonsalves, who also holds the portfolio of Minister for Grenadine Affairs, revealed these figures while responding to a question asked in Parliament by opposition leader and Member of Parliament for Northern Grenadines, Dr. Godwin Friday, as to why the airport continues to deteriorate despite its apparent need for repair. Dr. Gonsalves explained that less than 14 passengers utilize the facility daily, and the return from daily operations is not enough to pay for maintenance, navigational, meteorological, and other operational services.
The dance doesn't come anywhere close to paying for the light. The passenger movements between 2011 and 2015, it's 8,622 per year. In 2011 to 9,679 in 2015. It has more or less stabilized at that number from 2013 to 2015. You get essentially less than 14 passengers a day using the facility. And in terms of revenue, this translates to about $350 EC in passenger service charges per day.
Dr. Gonsalves, who is also Minister of Finance, outlined plans to have the J.F. Mitchell Airport operated by investors, as is the case on the neighboring Grenadine island of Canouan, while the government facilitates the other necessary functions.
In respect of basic repairs, in fact, they manage it. We carry out the functions, obviously. The state carries out the functions relating to the police, immigration, customs, and air traffic control. And I'm hopeful that a couple of hoteliers in Backway may come together for us to be able to have, if possible, a similar kind of an arrangement which we can work out. And I know one important hotelier is now has acquired one or two small aircraft. In other words, we look for flexible arrangements of a practical nature.
Describing the Education Act of 2006 as very short but very important, Minister of Education Sinclair Jimmy Prince has said that the amendments made to the legislation will help synchronize aspects in education, including that of early childhood. Prince explained that the standardization of certain early childhood facilities has become necessary for every child's development.
Early childhood under the Act is too broadly defined, while it is understood that early childhood is from 0 to 8 years. For the purposes of the regulations, we want to make sure that the Act specifically caters to pre-primary children, that's between 3 to 5 years. This constitutes the pre-primary category, which government policy is catering to, because we have pre-primary, we have secondary, tertiary, etc. And that has to do with the public education policy of the government. So once we have a distinction being made between pre-primary and early childhood, then it would be in tandem, the regulations would be in tandem with the Act.
Agreeing with the move to amend certain aspects of the Education Act was Opposition Member of Parliament for the Southern Grenadines, Terence Oliver, who also commended the Teachers Union for their involvement in the process.
The foundation that is laid from the initial stage will be important to the success of each child as they move through the various levels. Once you have a successful initiation into education at the early childhood level, at the pre-primary level, and the standards are all in cohesion and we operate at that level, we can assure that we will have greater success at the primary, secondary, and tertiary level, because each level, as the success in each level is dependent on the success and the achievement at the other level. So, Mr. Speaker, as we say, is to tighten the act, and I'm much obliged.
Working together to achieve better working and learning conditions for all teachers and students across the Caribbean region, the Caribbean Union of Teachers, the CUT, culminated its 7th Regional Education Conference here last Friday, December 16th. The 3-day event was held under the theme, Towards Decent Work, the Impacts of Health and Safety in the Work Environment on Teacher Professionalism and Learning Outcomes in the Caribbean. Nikita Tony has more in this report.
As a successful and productive event, the 7th Regional Education Conference came to an end last Friday, December 16th. During the 3-day event, members of the Caribbean Union of Teachers, CUT, were engaged in discussions to chart a better way forward for teachers and students throughout the region. Expressing his gratitude to the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union, SVG-TU, for their exceptional showcase of hospitality and planning of the event, President of the CUT, Julian Monrose, thanked all participants for their involvement in the conference, noting that the event has paved the way towards enhancing teachers' professionalism and working conditions across the region.
The issues discussed here are very important to Caribbean teachers, as the role of the Caribbean Union of Teachers is to defend quality education and to ensure that the rights of teachers are protected. We discuss all of these and many of the issues that confront teachers. Hopefully we are going to come out of this, well, we're coming out of this meeting with clear recommendations as to the way forward that will guide the CUT and also the various member units.
Using the term knowledge kept is knowledge lost, President of the SVG-TU, Oswald Robinson, urged his colleagues to take what was learned at the sessions very seriously and to share it as well.
Join hands and hearts together, and we could have deliberated over the last 5 days. Yes, we have had an exciting executive meeting, and we have brought the curtains down with a conference. And I'm sure that even the men in our midst are pregnant with information.
Some of the participants also took the time to share their experience during the conference.
A tremendous success. I think the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union did an exceptional job in its organization, coordination, and implementation of such an important event in the life of the Caribbean Union of Teachers.
Associated with CUT for so many years, I think this week's activity was very timely. It dealt with capacity building. We started off with our strategic planning as the way forward for the next couple of years for the CUT.
We would have looked at issues such as the relationship between CUT and the general umbrella organization for Teachers Education International. We want to look at the issues in terms of CUT's advocacy, issues pertaining to membership and service.
It is expected that coming out of the 3-day event, there will be the development of policies both at a collective level in the CUT and through individual unions, which will affect the occupational safety and health of the region's educators.
Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
An excellent publication with impressive sources that strengthens the analysis of the events of the 1935 riots. So says lecturer at the Department of History of the UWI Cayfield campus and official reviewer of the book 1935 Riots from Riots to Adult Suffrage, written by local historian Dr. Adrian Fraser, which was launched last Friday at French's House. Trelvin Lewis has more on the reviews of this latest publication by Dr. Fraser in this report.
The latest publication by historian Dr. Adrian Fraser has been described by his peers as a national treasure. Head of the University of the West Indies Open Campus, Deborah Dalrymple, extended congratulations on behalf of the UWI Open campuses throughout the Caribbean and commended Dr. Fraser for continuing to provide literary resources which offer a more complete look at the history of SVG.
Who we are today as people is influenced and shaped by our past experiences. And we have to depend on the artists, the writers, the musicians, makers of craft and other artisans to preserve our current experiences, so that those who come after us would have a far stronger sense of self. Our history is replete with much for which we can be proud as Vincentians. Sadly, too many times we are not aware of our past, and this perhaps explains some of the inertia we see among our people today.
Longtime friend to Dr. Fraser and community and social activist Oscar Allen says that though the topic of the 1935 riots have drawn the attention of a number of nationalists such as Dr. Kenneth John, Oswald Peters, Lorna DeBeek, and Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, to name a few, Dr. Fraser's work lifts the discourse to another level through thorough research and documentation.
It tells us we are inheritors of a long struggle against colonialism. As one of the earlier speakers says, a struggle that began with the Garifuna and the Caribs and is here still today. 1935 makes us reflect on that and situate ourselves as continuers of that long struggle that has not ended and has not reached its destination.
Dr. Fraser, whose interests in the 1935 riots were piqued while conducting his research on his PhD thesis, said that West Indian history is often interpreted based on the experiences of larger Caribbean countries, and as a result, the smaller islands are overlooked and often forgotten.
The 1862 riots preceded the more recognized Moran Bay riots in Jamaica. We hear about the Moran Bay riots, but very little about the 1862 riots which preceded them. Our carnival riots in St. Vincent in 1879 was 2 years before those in Trinidad. Our Shaker religion was banned before that of the Shouters in Trinidad. We rioted against early efforts at combining some of the colonies for administrative purposes. We even rioted at one of our Windward Islands cricket tournaments. We were the first colony to have accepted the recommendations of the West Indian Royal Commission to establish government land settlement schemes. So we were in the forefront of many movements and developments throughout our history. One of the issues I hope to address in this book is the tendency to interpret West Indian history based on the experiences of the larger colonies. Now, when I was doing the riots, there was something unique and different about what was happening in St. Vincent, but still, when people speak about the riots in the Caribbean, they focus on what was happening in Jamaica and Guyana, and very little was said or known about St. Vincent. I've shown in this book that there were certain unique things about the 1935 riots that must be taken into account when making generalizations about Caribbean history.
Dr. Fraser extended his heartfelt gratitude to those who assisted him in making the launch of his publication a success, and presented copies to the National Archives and the UWI Open Campus Library as a token of appreciation for their contribution to his publication. Reporting for SVG-TV News, I am Treldy Lewis.
20 participants recently received certificates of participation after completing the plumbing course conducted by the Division of Adult and Continuing Education Department at a graduation ceremony held on Tuesday evening at the Kingston Technical Institute. Acting Director of the Adult and Continuing Education Department, Zan George, said that the division places emphasis on community-specific programs and is seeking to incorporate programs which will qualify persons to work not just locally but also regionally.
We'll have to try and put more emphasis as we shift to start to put more emphasis these days on programs that will qualify you for a workforce, not only for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but regionally and extra-regionally. So we'll have to start to now put more of our coins, of our money, so that we can start to tackle the poverty alleviation and also to get people ready for the work market. You would have heard Commandant Lewis alluded to the fact that the farmers program. We have Canada and now America. And the Division of Adult and Continuing Education, we are part of that, so that we can ensure that our farmers, or persons who will be going to that program, will be well fortified, so to speak, so that they can take greater advantage of the opportunities on that program, not just picking fruits, but all the other skill sets.
Director of the National Qualification Department, Dwight Lewis, expressed confidence that the participants would have gained useful skills from the course and encouraged them to participate in upcoming Caribbean Vocational Qualification CVQ programs.
I would implore you at the next program to get involved, transfer these skills that you would have learned here into a CVQ. For matter of fact, I think that whatever was taught here and whatever you would have gleaned from the training, you can use as potential evidence when it comes to you doing the CVQ. There are a number of opportunities available in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and regionally for persons with skills. I know come next year there would be an opening in North America for skilled workers. So we have to ensure that our nationals, as far as possible, are certified so that we can make ample use of these opportunities when they become available.
The tourist season is not off to a great start, so says caretaker of the Wally Labo yachting site, Edmund Morris. On Saturday, December 17th, Morris was called to assist an Austrian family who was the target of a robbery. The police report the incident occurred at around 11:25 p.m. on Saturday. Morris, who was nearby, recalled that he had just closed for the night when he received a call for assistance from the family.
Having dinner and kind of early, so they came over about minutes to 7 or so, have dinner, and they left around minutes to 8. And while I was there, they came back and said the boat got broken into, and they asked me to call the police, which I did, and after that I learned they lose a lot of things, money and phone and stuff like that. If you just think the boat was directly that Anglo anchored, and they could have dinner and also see the boat at the same time. So.
Does this kind of thing happen usually here?
Well, the last season, this is a new season, it's now beginning. This is the first incident for this season. So, I mean, a couple of seasons before, we always had incidents, you know, where people went on boat and stole stuff.
Morris noted that while there is security on the site, water security might be just something to be considered to ensure the safety for all visitors. Morris also stated that the Austrian family has been visiting SVG for years and he's unsure about any possible return to SVG following the unfortunate incident.
One good thing, they like St. Vincent. This one kind of really threw them off, and I don't know if they will come back, but you know, my thing is, you know, other people is going to hear about it, and I really don't know how it will affect us this season, which is a new season, and it really started good. I like to see the president at the authority a little bit more, you know. It's kind of a freaking debate now. You know, people feel a little bit safe.
As the Public Health Department continues with its Christmas food inspection program, it is advising persons operating meat stalls to ensure they observe strict sanitary guidelines. SVG Television's Marvin Oliver has more details.
From the slaughterhouse to the butcher shop, cleanliness remains a critical factor in ensuring that meat remains healthy and fit for human consumption. And as such, the Public Health Department has been working with butchers in several communities to ensure that meat sold at their stalls remain free from contaminants through the department's Christmas food inspection program. Environmental Health Officer Donald Pierre explains that some of the measures butchers should implement to ensure that meat is sold in sanitary conditions.
That area where you actually sell your meat, display your meat for sale, the area should be cleaned and debushed of any overgrown vegetation. There should be a concrete floor or a floor that is so fitted to facilitate easy cleaning and disinfecting. There must be structure or shade that you can actually protect the meat from the elements, the sun, the rain, the dust, and the meat should be covered to protect it from contaminants such as flies and dust. If possible, set up your stall away from the main road where the vehicles constantly pass, or have your meat protected by using a thin, clean material. The selling surface should be fitted with clean, impervious, unpainted material. Your cutting boards should be impervious. You should not use plywood, softwood, or painted wood. The area should be properly lighted and vented. And if you plan to sell very early in the morning, don't set your stall up in poorly lit areas or areas that are very lonely. Think safe and be safe.
Pierre added that butchers and persons working in butcher stalls should always maintain proper hygiene and ensure that meat is stored properly.
Salesmen and women should be attired in clean clothing, and remember, the person cutting the meat should not be the person handling the money. Ensure that the inspection certificate that the officer would have given you is displayed where everybody can see it. Meats that are on display should be covered from any type of contaminants, and it should not be displayed for more than 2 to 3 hours. Other meats that are on display should be cooled and protected, preferably in a chilling container, because you don't want to slaughter your meat 12 o'clock in the morning and have it laying there until 5 o'clock the afternoon. So what you should do is that whatever meat is not being sold, you should have it in a chilling container. The meat on display, however, should be covered and protected from flies. And at the end of the day, ensure that the area where you would have been selling is cleaned and sanitized.
Marvin Oliver, SVG Television, Evening News.
Residents of Belvedere and surrounded areas on Saturday, December 17th witnessed the lighting up of their community as the Belvedere Neighborhood Watch Group officially launched their lights display as part of the SVG 9 Mornings Festival celebrations. President of the Belvedere Neighborhood Watch and former Commissioner of Police Keith Miller thanked all persons and stakeholders involved in making the event possible as they strive to keep the community together and urge residents to become more involved in community activities.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone again for coming out. Our membership drive is ongoing, it is continuous. I want to use this opportunity this evening to invite you to join the group. We have a number of plans in place. We want to keep our community safe. We live here, so we must keep it safe, we must keep it clean, and we want you to come and join with us to get these things done.
Representative from the National 9 Mornings Committee, Marlon Joseph, thanked the Belvedere Neighborhood Watch for seeing it fit to partake in the 9 Mornings festivities and urged residents to go out and support various 9 Mornings activities which run up to Saturday, 24th December.
Also support the rural community 9 Mornings activities. Close by in Stubbs, for instance, there are 9 Mornings activities taking place there, and you can find time out to go out and support. 9 Mornings is very important to us. It is one of our premier festivals, and it is unique to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and this uniqueness gives it more value. And when you have something that is valuable, you certainly don't want to lose it.
Commending the Belvedere Neighborhood Watch for their hard work, dedication and creativity in organizing the lights display, Area Representative Camila Gonzalez stressed the need for persons to be involved in community development and outreach.
We hear about lighting up, we hear about Christmas, but what it's really about is community. Have a dynamic and fast-growing community here. And when you have a community like that, that is growing quickly, that is growing exponentially, that has lots of people from outside coming in, you need to have strong anchors in your community. You need things like a neighborhood watch to keep the community together, to be a cornerstone of the community, and to keep an eye on all the things that are happening. Like President Miller said, the government doesn't do everything for everyone all at once.